Moi kaikki! Today on my channel, I wanted to just have a bit of a chat and talk a little bit about some effective ways to learn on my YouTube channel, because I do have a lot of resources. Some of them I haven't talked that much about on my channel. I usually just focus on filming and uploading videos and then maybe giving a brief mention to things here and there. Maybe sometimes I very briefly mention things on Instagram. And there are a lot of resources that I have created over the years that I just thought I would sit down here, talk to you about, and also we can do some Finnish exercises together using one of the resources that is also for free. So just sit here patiently and let's chat. First up, I do get questions about if I'm new to learning Finnish, where do I start? How can I use your YouTube channel to learn Finnish? Okay, I have, I think, over 300 videos on my YouTube channel. Let me just double check. I currently on my Finnish channel have 386 videos uploaded. So that is a ton of content for you all to practice with and learn from. It can be a bit overwhelming, so I have tried to create sensible playlists. So if you go to my YouTube page and go to the playlist tab, you will see that there are different categories depending on your interests. New to Finnish, start here. So if you are a complete beginner, you're just starting out, this is the playlist I would recommend to you. It really starts from nothing and will take you step by step the few basics, very basics of the Finnish language. Then I also have videos grouped by theme of things you might be interested in learning. For example, I have a playlist of Finnish adjectives. I have learn with song lyrics, Finnish word of the week, which were vocabulary themed videos I used to do. There's numbers and counting, just general vocab builder, grammar videos, learn to make Finnish sentences, question words. Then I have this playlist with all my videos in Finnish with dual subtitles, cooking videos, Finnish travel videos, just a whole bunch of different categories for you to choose from. So that's one place you can look for content. Over the years, people have asked me whether I have a course you can purchase or not. The answer to that is no, I do not have any Finnish courses that I've made, and at the moment at least I have no plans to make one. Alternatively, I have always promoted HerFinland's Finnish language course. I think the one feedback I got from one person was that she doesn't break down the words and go over them as slowly with the tavus as I do. So if that's something that is very important for you, Varpu doesn't do that, but it does give a more structured course-like path to follow if you are wanting a resource, learning Finnish, starting from beginner and kind of working your way up in a more structured way instead of just looking for videos on my channel. That is one option. Since I already make so many YouTube videos that are free, I just feel like it's not really worth making a course, or I don't really see what the point of it would be since I have almost 400 videos already on my channel. So that's why I've kind of leaned more into other things that I do. I like making written material. So for example, something that I have been working on for some time is a verbs ebook. So a ebook that would cover everything, well, not everything, most of the basics that you would need to know about Finnish verbs to get an understanding of them, with exercises to reinforce, like getting very comfortable with using and understanding Finnish verbs. That is currently, I think I've written like 100 pages so far, but I just want to really make that useful and super easy to understand. That's why this project has taken a long time. And of course that would include like the main ebook and extra exercises in case you want more practice and an answer key. So that is something that I have been working on behind the scenes. Don't know when that will be done. It's kind of a slow progress. Also, something I've been working on that I believe I actually haven't even mentioned this on YouTube. I've talked about it on Instagram sometimes, but me and one other person have been working on a Finnish language app. So this app partner of mine is in charge of actually creating the actual app that you can use, and then I'm in charge of making the content inside the app, so all of the Finnish learning material. So it's just the two of us, so that's why it has, I think we started in August, September, beginning of the fall, I think, and it's just been very slow progress just because of gathering ideas, figuring out what we want to do, creating the app, and then putting in the content. So far, we are quite close to inviting a very few beta testers. I think we will be choosing them on Instagram just because the platform is easier just to grab a few people from and communicate with them in DMs. But so far, kind of our initial idea has been, and feel free to chime in what you would appreciate in a Finnish language app, is that we have 4 main categories. Can't really see it that well, but one would be puhekieli, one would be Finnish cases, grammar in general, and vocabulary. So within the vocabulary tab, if you're just like, what does that even mean, vocabulary? It would be situation-based vocabulary, because people were asking for, vocabulary related to restaurants and ordering, or grocery store, or airport, or going to the doctor's office, or workplace, etc., etc. So vocabulary would have those types of themes, and then you can learn sentences and vocab related to that specific theme. Then the grammar ones would be more like grammar practice, and then, for example, puhekieli, for example, you press on it, it explains what puhekieli is if you're not aware of it. Then you click, for example, so far I've created 6 kind of practice units. One is basic pronouns. So then you open that, there's a short video under a minute where I just tell you about basic pronouns in puhekieli, and then there is a little text that you can also read to understand what it means before you can practice. So when you practice here, it would include fill in the blanks, listening practice, speaking practice, and like matching. We're kind of thinking what types of exercises would be useful and interesting for people. So if you have any suggestions, either in like this kind of puhekieli unit, or in general for the grammar units, or for the vocabulary theme units, if you have kind of exercise ideas, feel free to comment as well, or any other general feedback about what would be interesting, because we can basically create whatever we want. So any type of feedback can directly lead into us putting it in here. So stay tuned for that. Also, I think it's already been a year about that I have been a tutor on a website called italki. And I know I mention italki a lot. Some of you may be sick of hearing about it by now, but I am an ambassador for that company, which means that I am under contract with them. They sponsor my videos, or 1 video per month, which means that I have a contract where I need to talk about them for 2 minutes in 1 video per month on my channel. So that is the reason you hear about it a lot, but it is very helpful since they are currently the only sponsor on my YouTube channel. I do think they are very relevant. They are a language learning platform, and actually I myself am a tutor on there. So because I used to get a lot of questions about, do you do private teaching? Can I get classes with you, etc., etc. I found that this was a good platform for me to kind of test the waters of that, because I was very uncertain at the start whether that is something I would enjoy doing or people would feel would be beneficial. Sorry, my throat's a bit dry. Just because I'm not a teacher and I've never claimed to be a teacher, I have no teaching background besides this Finnish channel. And I know I made a video previously where I talked about this a lot, and there were so many encouraging and very kind comments that people left under that video when I was feeling kind of insecure about my place as a Finnish tutor here online, because I don't claim to be an expert, and I don't claim to have the best methods, etc., etc. I have no, formal training in this. My background's in psychology and neuroscience. So back then I had this feeling of insecurity at that moment, and still to this day, I sometimes feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. So then I'll just go and read those comments and I instantly feel so touched and emotional. Because actually I did get a pretty long email, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about someone saying that you really need to get your teacher's certificate. I would feel much more comfortable learning from you if you had teaching certificates, etc., etc. And that kind of, usually these kinds of comments don't bother me, but then when it's like the same person messaging me over and over again with the same like critiques, and they literally called themselves, let me criticize you a little bit in what you're doing, it starts to feel a little bit like, I don't know, icky. Like, I understand their point and where they're coming from, but it doesn't always feel that great. I am trying my best to help people in my own way, and just because I don't have papers to prove that I am a teacher doesn't mean that I can't be helpful for people. I've done so much free material online that I don't know. Because I know I'm not a teacher, and on italki I can't be under the category of teacher because I am not a teacher, I'm a tutor. And I do take them very seriously because I'll just blur the name here, but... And I just wanted to show that these are some notes I made from some of my recent italki classes. For example, in this one, we went over the use of sta, sta in talking about something or dreaming about something. So we just went over some different sentence types using the different words that you would use that kind of ending in. And when with this other student, we went over the difference between the simple past tense and the perfecti. What's the difference? So I made all these notes. I even sent these notes straight to them. Sometimes, like for example, with this student, they enjoy homework. So I'll create some sentences to practice what we have done during class. And then with some students, we just do conversation practice. So I do like a guided or not so guided conversation, chatting in Finnish and just helping to build up their confidence speaking Finnish. Like for example, with this student, we also do that. Also, something I want to talk about, which I know I've mentioned a little bit from time to time, but haven't properly sat down to talk about this since the one video some years ago where I announced I was doing this thing. So since January 2022, actually, I have been making monthly workbooks, and you may have heard about this or sometimes see it when I write in the community tab on YouTube here, but I wanted to actually properly explain what that is because there is so much material that I have created the past few years regarding this. I currently have, I think, 35 exercise workbooks that are finished and released already. So what is this workbook that I mention sometimes? So maybe you've noticed that I have on YouTube this join button, and if you click on that, you can see level 1 and level 2. Also, I have links to a Patreon website, which also takes you to a website called Patreon, and it will show you there are 2 tiers that you can join called Tasa1, Tasa2, level 1 and 2. So what does that mean if I join to become a level 1 member? What does that mean? What do I get? So I have some videos, clips that didn't really cohesively make a full regular channel video, but I'm still speaking Finnish in them. They're still subtitled, so I thought they could still be useful even as smaller snippets. So that is one thing I have in level 1. It's pretty cheap and it's kind of like a small general support, kind of buying one coffee for me every month sort of thing. And the level 2 is a bit more extensive. So actually, if you join right now, you can immediately download all 35 of those workbooks that I have created over the past few years, which turns out to be what? Some cents per download. So each PDF would essentially cost you what, like 30 cents or something? But I wanted to go over one of them together right now so that you can get an idea of what kind of exercises and what kind of practice material is involved in this. And this August 2023 one is actually a free download that you can get when you join my email list. So if you look down in the description box and you can see join my newsletter, join my email list, the first automatic email you get from there will include, you'll get a download to this exact workbook that we are going to go over together right now. So go ahead and join my email list, download this, and we will take a little look at this and do a few exercises together right now. Okay, my camera was acting up a little bit, so I'm using my phone camera again. But this is the August 2023 summary workbook. So the point of these workbooks is to practice that month's YouTube video content. So we will go over together what that means. So for example, in August 2023, I published a video about modes of transport in Finnish. So for example, if you click on this thumbnail or click on the title, it will take you to that YouTube video that I created back then. And based on this video and the vocabulary and things we learned in it, I created some homework for you guys to go over and practice. And I will just show you what types of things. And of course, every single month I kind of come up with different exercises or things to practice. So it's not just like this literally exact same formula every month. I do try to switch it up a little bit and do different things to keep it more interesting, but this is just an example of something that might be in one of these exercise workbooks. So for example, here we have a word bank of different words we learned in that video, and I'm asking you to put them into these categories: land transportation, sea transportation, and air transportation. So for example, helikopteri is what in English? Helicopter. So that would go under the air transportation box. What about vene? Vene means boat. So we would put it under the sea category, right? Or ratikka is a tram. So we would put it under the land transport, right? So I also create the answer key to this. So if you scroll all the way down through this long list, here we have the summary workbook answers. So here you can see all the words that would belong to land, sea, and air. So I'm not just leaving you to guess what the correct answers are by yourself. There is an answer key, so you will get the answers to everything in this workbook as well. So, okay, so that's what that is. On the next page, we have a few generic questions. The official Finnish word for a bus is linja-auto, but what is the word that Finnish people actually use most often? And here are 4 choices for you. So the answer to that would be bussi. Finnish people use bussi the most. And then there's some questions about slang, because the other 3 are slang words, but slang words in which city? That's the question. And then we're just practicing how to use matkustaa. So Salla matkustaa Ruotsiin. Millä hän matkustaa? So we're practicing these words that we learned in that word bank. So this is an auto, so we would write auto. She's traveling with auto, and then she's traveling with, what would this be? Laiva. So we put laiva here. Then we go down a little bit and we come across the verb matkustaa, to travel. And I wrote here all of the different pronoun forms. Minä matkustan, sinä matkustat, hän matkustaa, me matkustamme, te matkustatte, ja he matkustavat. And then I am making a grammar point here. So I'm not sure I mentioned this in my video. Maybe this was just something extra. I can't really remember if it's from 2023. But when making a sentence with matkustaa plus mode of transport, you have to put the LLA/LLA case ending to the end of the mode of transport. The meaning would then change to bus, with a bus, bussi, bussilla. And the word itself doesn't change, for example, bussi to bussilla, except that the word ends in an E. For example, vene, veneellä, lentokone, lentokoneella. As you can see, in that case, you have to add an extra E. Plus, KPT rule can happen here, so beware. For example, rekka, rekalla. K, double K turns to only one K. Okay, so that was my little teacher point. And then we go on to practice this exact concept that I just explained. So, minä, and what would bussi be? So, minä, and then we use the verb. So, matkustaa, scroll up, look. Minä matkustan. Okay, that's the form we need to use. Minä matkustan, and then bussi. So, adding LLA to the end, it would turn into minä matkustan bussilla. And sinä, oh, what would the sinä be? Sinä matkustat. Go down. Train is, what would train be? Go up. It's juna, right? So sinä matkustat junalla. Okay, so this is what we're practicing here with all these different sentences. And at the end, I just make a reminder that choosing between LLA and LLA depends on vowel harmony. Words with UOA use the LLA ending, and words with YA use LLA ending. E and I are neutral and use LLA. So just a little extra pointer there. And of course, all the answers are again at the end of this thing. Then I have the same kind of practice using mennä, to go, verb. So you can practice it with these sentences. And then another video I made that month was the future in Finnish, how to talk about the future. So you can click on this thumbnail to take you straight to that video to refresh your memory. And here I'm asking, what are the 3 ways you can discuss the future in Finnish? So if you're like, I don't really remember, either you can watch the video, brainstorm by yourself, or also the answer key down here will tell you that the answer is context, using adverbs that express time in the future, and using verbs that express intent. So that is the answer. Then I just have this matching the adverbs to their translation. So you can be viikon päästä. What would that be? A week from now. Ylihuomenna is the day after tomorrow. Just practicing that. Then there are 2 popular verbs in Finnish that express intent. They are, what are they? One of them is aikoa. So the minä form of that is minä aion. So then I'm just asking you to practice these 2 verbs in this context. So for example, minä aion kävellä. To walk is kävellä. When you are talking about the future using aikoa, you use the basic form. So minä aion kävellä. And then you can practice with the rest of the sentences. And here I'm asking you to underline the parts of the sentence below that make the sentence refer to the future. So matkustan Suomeen ensi vuonna. Ensi vuonna would be the part of the sentence that refers to the future, next year, right? So that is what makes this sentence in the future. So then we would underline this part and translate it here as I will travel to Finland next year. And then you do the same for the rest of those. Here I'm asking you to create sentences about future events using the given time expressions. So huomenna, what kind of sentence can we make about huomenna? We could, for example, say huomenna menen kävelylle metsään. Tomorrow I will go for a walk in the forest. Huomenna menen kävelylle metsään. Or whatever else you want to make a sentence of. This is just getting you to practice writing in Finnish. And I'm pretty sure I had some just example sentences. Yeah, here. The sentences below are all example sentences. If you want me to correct or check your sentences, just send me a message, and then I put a bunch of different options of potential things you could write there in those boxes. Then for this video, I made a bingo. So the audio file will be in the folder that you can download, and then I will be saying words and you can just cross off what you hear and find out which 5 words you hear create a bingo. Okay, I also made a video about helping vocabulary in August 2023. So here is just a box with different phrases that we went over in the video, and I'm asking you to organize them into either giving help, so antaa apua, or receiving help, avun saaminen. So voitko auttaa? Can you help me? you're asking for help. So you're asking to receive help, you would put it in this category. So then I again had these connect the kirjakieli phrases with their shorter puhekieli phrases. So haluan auttaa sinua would be haluan auttaa sua. So here we're just looking at the difference between kirjakieli and puhekieli, asking you to use some of these phrases that you learned here and also in the video to complete the dialogue and tell what happened in the dialogue. And then the final video I made that month was this epä prefix video. So I had a few multiple choice questions here. Epä is a Finnish what? Prefix, right? And then epävarma means unsure, right? Epäselvä is unclear. Epäsäännöllinen is irregular. So just practicing some of this vocabulary. Here I'm asking you to fill in the blanks using these words from above. So olen unsure. Unsure is what? Oh, epävarma, right? Olen epävarma tästä asiasta. I'm unsure about this thing. And all of these sentences that I only write in Finnish, I also give the English translation in the answer box. So you don't have to try to guess what this means if it's not clear to you right away. Or if you're translating it and you want to double check you translated it right, I do write the English translations also in the answers. And here I'm asking you to guess what these new words mean, these new epä words mean based on the word bank. So for example, epäluonnollinen would be unnatural, and epäsiisti would be untidy. So just practicing more vocabulary, and then yes, here is all of the answers. And then in my old workbooks, I did create like a little space where you can write down notes and stuff. I realized I don't think people really use that, so I got rid of it last year, so it's not in my newer workbooks, because I also had like some space for you to write stuff that you could get feedback from me from, but a few people used it, but not that many. So I was like, okay, people can still do that if they want in their own time, but I'm not going to include that in the workbooks. So that's just a sneak peek of what the workbooks are like. Some of them will have more listening practice than others. Some of them, like I said, I really try to vary the types of exercises and homework material that you get each month. And it also depends on the video, what the theme and the topic of the videos are. Some topics are easier to create certain types of exercises. So then it really just depends on that. But the point is to watch the videos from that month, for example, here, August 2023, and then just practice the vocabulary, the grammar points, the ideas that we learned in that video a bit more in depth. So hopefully just watching the video, maybe you'll remember a few things, but hopefully if you actually go through these workbooks, then you'll really remember the stuff that we went over. So that is just a way that I am also trying to help you guys. And obviously I know it does cost. The level 2 is about 10 euros per month, but it does take a lot of time to also make these, so that's why I'm justifying having it as a membership perk. But yes, thank you so much for also supporting me. There have been members of my Patreon and YouTube for the entire time that I have released them, so I just want to give you a huge thank you to those of you that have continued to support me and engage with my content and sending me really sweet messages every month, thanking me for the extra workbooks that I create because they say that it's been helping them. I always love to receive the pictures from you guys, printing everything out, having them all on your table and working through them all. A lot of you guys have, binders just full of my workbooks and, doing them all. And it's just really heartwarming to see you guys engaging with that and finding it useful, and I don't know, it just makes me really happy. So thank you guys so much. And thank you for watching this video. I know this wasn't really a Finnish learning video, but I'm hoping that if you didn't know about some of the things that I talked about in this video, that maybe they could help you. And I guess it's just a general PSA about what material and content I have created the past few years, just in case you haven't heard of it and just in case it would be of interest to you. So kiitos!